I want to ask you some questions about the Leaving Certificate. There is clearly now a crisis of democratic legitimacy around this year's Leaving Cert exams. 79% of nearly 24,000 Leaving Cert students, polled by the Irish Second Level Students' Union, want cancellation. A mere 15% want the exams to go ahead. These young people feel that they are being forced to do these exams against their will and that they are in effect being bullied by your government. These young people are concerned first and foremost with their mental health and the mental health of their friends and peers. They do not want to sit vital exams in the middle of a global pandemic in a country with the 8th highest rate of death from the virus per million in the world, when you exclude tiny states. In 20 years as an elected public rep, I have never before seen a government decision cause so much mental anguish to so many young people. So, Taoiseach, my first two questions, and I want to come back with one. Do you accept the findings of the ISSU poll that 4 young Leaving Cert students in 5 are opposed to your government's Leaving Cert policy? And second, do you accept that your government's position on this issue is greatly adding to the mental strain on many, many of our young people? Count Carl, I do want to come back in for a very short question before the end.
Thanks, Deputy. Democratic legitimacy doesn't derive from opinion polls, whether it's a door-to-door survey, whether it's online, and no matter who does it. In a democracy, and this is a democracy, legitimacy does not derive from opinion polls of any sort, of any nature, carried out by anyone. Sometimes I wish they did, because as you know, my own experience is one of doing much better in opinion polls than in real elections. So, Deputy, opinion polls do not confer democratic legitimacy. Elections do, and ultimately this House at some stage hopefully will form a government with democratic legitimacy. In the meantime, I'll work night and day as hard as I can, doing the job that I'm entrusted to do by the Constitution. Deputy, I fully appreciate the stress that sixth-year students are under, the uncertainty. Absolutely understand that, and I still get nightmares about my Leaving Cert maths paper. I know how traumatic the Leaving Cert can be for a lot of people, and we will try to bring a conclusion to this matter this week as best we can.
Deputy Barry.
Okay, I note the Taoiseach's comments about opinion polls, but you swept that one under the carpet quite quickly, Taoiseach, I have to say. Your government meets with the ISSU. You recognise them as, in some ways at least, a representative voice for secondary school students. They conducted a poll and 24,000 students replied in that poll. What they said does not count for nothing. It wasn't 51% or 52% or 53% who said cancel the exams. It was a crushing majority, 79%, nearly 4 in 5. And it wasn't 1,000 or 2,000 who answered that either. It was nearly 24,000 students. And I think they will consider your response to be a little bit flippant and a little bit dismissive of their concerns. You say that you understand and you hear their distress. I had a meeting last night online with 2,500 Leaving Cert students. And yes, they are distressed, and the certainty that they're looking for is the certainty that the Leaving Cert exams will be cancelled. So my question to the Taoiseach is simply this: will you give those students a commitment now, here, today, in this House, that you will cancel those Leaving Cert exams and find a fair and just alternative to them?
Taoiseach.
Thanks, Deputy. I reject your contention. I was neither glib nor did I sweep anything under the carpet. I gave you a straight answer to a straight question. Do I accept the democratic legitimacy of opinion polls? No, I don't. And if you did, Deputy, I imagine you'd be voting for me for Taoiseach, because apparently that's what the latest opinion poll says the public want. Opinion polls are only opinion polls. That's all they are. And I'm surprised that you think that they have some sort of democratic legitimacy when it suits you, but not when it doesn't. In relation to the serious question that you raise when it comes to cancelling the Leaving Cert and proceeding with the Leaving Cert, I totally appreciate that the uncertainty is causing enormous stress for sixth-years at the moment. This is an issue we want to resolve. We know it is possible to carry out the Leaving Cert within existing public health guidelines, but it would not be the Leaving Cert as we know it. So if it is cancelled, we have to make sure that we can put in place an alternative that would be fair, and that is extremely difficult. And that is the kind of work that is being done now at the moment, involving the education partners, involving the unions, involving the State Examinations Commission, involving the Department of Education, involving everyone who only wants what's best and what's fair for our sixth-years. And that is going to be difficult. But as I say, this is an issue that we do want to bring to a conclusion this week.
Now we go to Deputy